Hello party people, I am going to show you how to create an ArcGIS story map by having you walk along while I create the one for my Mundabitty bikepacking trip. To do this, you're going to need an ArcGIS account. I've already logged into mine. You can just use a free one. You're an adult, I'm not going to show you how to create an account. Before we create the story map, we are first going to create a custom base map. To do that, from the story maps homepage, I'm going to go up to my profile and just click on ArcGIS content. From there, I'm clicking on map up the top, and that brings me to this section where I can create my custom map. Now, I've previously created some KML files that contain both the trail and the campsites for the Mundabitty. I've previously uploaded these, so they're already in my list here. So I'm going to add those. First the trail, and then the points. So you can do this with any KML file. Next, I'd like a different base map. I'd like a satellite image with labels. So I'm going to click on base map, and I'm choosing imagery hybrid. There's plenty of other options, but this one works for my purposes. So I'm just going to save that. So now that base map with the trail and campsites on it will be available in my story map. Now that we've got our base map, we can go back to the story maps main page, go up to the top right and click on create, and just choose story. Now the story maps editor is a what you see is what you get editor. I find it a little bit clunky, so what I do is I write all my content and choose all my photos, etc. separately, and then I just copy paste over rather than writing directly in here. So I'm just going to paste the title of my story in here, and now I'm going to select a cover image up on here. When I click to browse files, you won't be able to see my Windows Explorer because the screen recording software that I'm using doesn't allow that. So you are just going to have to believe me that I am indeed finding an image to have as my cover image. So I've got that there, I can add it. Alright, so that's not particularly aesthetically appealing right now. I'm going to go up to design and it's going to give me some options for this cover. So that's what we've already got, is minimal. There's various different ways you can have this set out, but I'm going to choose full because I like the whole picture there with the text on top. I'm also going to click that navigation on, and that will give us some navigation subheadings underneath this that'll appear where that text currently is. You can also apply themes. I'll show that later. I'm going to start with a bit of a cold open. So I'll just paste in my heading. You'll see up there that it has come up in the links, but the text is too long. So I'm actually just going to make this heading 2. So my link up there will just be day 0. As I paste in my text, the styles from Google Docs get recognized by ArcGIS. I'm now going to add a GIF, which is just the same as adding an image. There's a 10 megabyte limit, but ArcGIS handles GIFs just fine. And I'm just going to add a little gallery here of a few photos from day 0. I'm just selecting image gallery. Now here I can actually select multiple files at once, which is handy. By default, story maps will crop your gallery to square. I prefer jigsaw, so once those have uploaded, I'm going to change the format here. So just going to options, selecting jigsaw, and it will do its best. And that's day 0 done. The next thing I'm going to do is add an overview of the Mundabitty. I'm going to use a map tour to do that. So So first just pasting in my heading, making that heading 1, you can see that it appears either on the navigation bar. I'm going to add a content block, scroll down to the bottom and choose Map Tour. I'm going to start from scratch, and I want a map focused tour this time. Now I'm not even going to actually use any photos because this is just describing the Munda Biddi. I'm going to start by choosing my custom base map, so choosing edit at the top there, choose a different base map. I need to browse more maps to get to my custom ones, and I'm choosing Munda Biddi satellite. For my initial zoom level, I'm choosing custom. This will then propagate through to all of the points that I select. I'm going with county. It's the American terminology, but that's about the level of zoom that I'd want. So I'm just going to save that. And I'm going to paste in my text that I'd like to use to describe the Munda Biddi. To get it to scroll and go through the map as people read the text, I'm going to choose a location. So click Add Location. And I'm going to choose my starting point. I could use a custom zoom level there, but I'm just going to stick with the same one the whole way through. Excellent. So that's my first point. I'm going to add a second point. Choose a location for that one. I'm just going to choose a point roughly halfway through. There's no specific reason why I'm choosing that up, except that it's roughly the halfway mark. And one more point. And the location I'll choose here will be the end point. And that is my map tour complete. It's easy to add images there if you want. So let's do a quick preview and see what things look like so far. We have our nice big splash page. As we scroll down, you can see the navigation bar, my first day of content, and then it goes into our map. So you can see it zooms to my first point, and to my second, and then to my third, and that's just meant to orient the reader. For each day I've got some text and some photos and other things, so I'm going to use a sidecar format for the main section of each day. To do that, just add a content block. Right down the bottom is sidecar. It's kind of like the map tour, but it's focused on photos rather than maps. I'm choosing floating because I think that looks pretty. Now, despite saying that they're focused on photos rather than maps, the first thing I'm going to add is actually a map. I'm going to go to my Munda Biddi satellite one again, and I'm just going to zoom into the bit of the map that I want to show. So I want to show the part of the trail that I rode that day. So here I went from Albany there through to just past Denmark. So I'm going to click Save. So that'll show like that in my sidecar. Put in my heading. And I'm going to start pasting in my content. Oops, I didn't really want to do that. I'm going to go up here and undo that because that was not what I wanted. I'm just going to make this formatting a little bit different. I want it to be a different color. I'm going to right justify it. I'm going to make this a little bit just bold. So that'll be there for the start of each day, and just a link to a song that people can play if for some reason they wish to hear what music I was listening to that day. The next slide is going to be an image, so I'm just going to upload an image. Again, you won't be able to see what I'm selecting here. Just pasting in the text. I've decided that for each day I want 3 slides in addition to the map. I pretty much always choose a landscape-oriented photo rather than portrait because I find the portrait looks a bit funny. It gets cropped in a way that I don't like. Alright, and that is my sidecar done. I have some other text and photos that I'd like to include for day 1. I'm going to include that mostly just as standard text. So I'm going to add text here. I've got one section that I call Humans of the Mundabidi, which is about the various characters that I met. Try that again. I'm going to make this, yep, excellent, that's heading 2. After that, I want to put in a gallery with some of the additional images that I took on that day that weren't good enough to be part of that sidecar. So I can click Browse Your Files. Again, you can't see what I'm doing, but this time I can actually select multiple files at once, which speeds things up a little bit. So I've added 4 images there. I want to add one more, I forgot one. So I've got the 5. Add that in there. Again, StoryMaps has defaulted to trimming these to be squares. I'm going to change that again. Choosing Jigsaw. And I'm going to reorder the media just because I think it'll look a bit better that way. Let me see how that looks. I'm pretty happy with that. For each day, I've also got a random musing. Today is actually in the form of an annotated photo, but it's usually text. So I'm going to put in my heading. This section's called Overpackers Anonymous. And this time I'm going to add a single image. I'm going to add that in. I realize I also forgot to put in a couple of the charts that I want to put in for each day. I've got a chart of the elevation and of my speed at various points. I want that to go after my sidecar and before my additional text. So here I'm going to add a content block and add the first of those images. And another one with the second. So that's all the content for day 1. So we'll just do a quick preview to make sure that's coming together the way that I like it. Got our cover image, our day 0, the GIF, our map overview. I'm moving a bit fast for that, but that's okay. Day 1. the sidecar's working, and our additional content is all looking good. I'm just going to exit out of that preview. Okay, so I've got all my content for up to the end of day 5 in my story map, and now I just want to add my video, which is really easy. So just add a content block, scroll down under media, there's video. It'll give you the option to upload or link. If you want to upload, it has file size limits. My file's too big, so I'm going to link to a YouTube video that I previously uploaded. That is just the URL of that video, and there we have it. The video is now embedded, and you all get to see the awful image that YouTube chose for the cover of that video. I've now gone through and put in far too much content, more than anyone will ever read. The final thing I'll show you is just the design options that are available in story maps. So there's not a huge amount of options with a free account, but for my purposes, that's fine. Click up here on design, and we just have these 6 themes. There's a gallery, not going to go into that today. It defaults to Summit. If we click around, it'll show the different options that are available. So that's obviously changing the background color, fonts, etc. If I scroll down, you'll see that some of this has changed from before. I happen to like Slate because I like that font, so I'm going to leave it in Slate. Okay, so it is done. To publish, I simply click Publish. I'm going to choose Public because otherwise what's the point, and hit Publish. Okay, so a warning has popped up saying that the layers that are in my custom base map aren't shared. Would you like to update the sharing of these items so the intended audience can view them? Yes, I would. Just click Update Sharing, and it's doing that in the background. And that's live. So that's how easy it is to publish a story on ArcGIS StoryMaps. It's all free, and now I can go and share that with people who will hopefully read it.